لكن تحديت الظروف وخضتها وحدي صبورا مستعينا بالصلاة. كم مرة عصف الأنين بداخلي، كم مرة قد ذاق قلبي من أساه محن تمر، وكم كرهت مصابها.
الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. ما بعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Subhanallah al-Azim, gorgeous weather. I've got my mango smoothie. Bismillah. Walillah alhamd. Now, 2 days ago, probably 3 days ago, I issued a tweet responding to the motivational speaker, Mr. Mank. Mr. Mank, in connection to his tweet criticizing the one that shall not be named, and I responded in kind. And this is, going over 2 to 3 years worth of ongoing issues with the motivational speaker. But nevertheless, the tweet got some traction. Some notable brothers who I respect, value, and consider a senior responded and have made some vital, critical points, with some that I have my point of view, which I am firm on. And it was, split right down the middle to a certain extent, and I can understand where the other party sit. The trajectory of the motivational speakers' previous scandals have highlighted 2 particular issues. Either one, he's very gullible, and number 2, he panders to certain groups of people, demographics, and whatnot. Now, the situation in Gaza is drastic. Over the last 6-7 months, the Zionist regime has been committing genocide in the occupied Gaza Strip. And now Rafah, which is the last particular area where all the refugees from the north have fled from, where it's from Beit Hanun, and then obviously which is in the north, and Jabalia, then you got central Gaza, which is, Deir Balah, Khan Yunis, and now you got Rafah, and you got various other refugee camps, Shaja'iyya and whatnot. And we need all Muslim platforms as well as non-Muslim platforms, as we see what's happening in the States in universities, as we see what's happening in Birmingham University. In fact, students are protesting because this humanitarian crisis is exacerbating as the weeks and months are passing by. And I wanted to bring your attention to a very important statement by Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi, to show you how the scholars of his time were withholding certain aspects of truth for whatever reason. It could be maqasid, it could be hikmah, the overblown hikmah card. And what I want to show you is that a very important point to note is that Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi was living under a khilafah, and there was various ulema of his time that were very hit and miss. And he called them out. And again, I understand what's at stake. But at the same time, if the motivational speaker can go 25% of the way and mention, shame on you, shame on who? You are killing civilians and whatnot. Go into or filter his history of mentioning Israel or Zionists, I'll come with a very big cipher. A very big zero. What's the worst that can happen? They'll probably stop you at the airport, ask you a few questions. Maybe when you fly in, they'll probably put you in a room, ask you a few questions. We're not saying anything wrong. And it's all within freedom of expression. So let's get into the statement of Imam Dhahabi. I want to make this video quick. So as you can see on screen, we've got the book, Sirah A'lam Nubala by Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayh. This is volume 14, page 165 and 166. Now, I'm not going to present 165. The only reason why I mentioned the volume and the page numbers is brothers have asked me to mention it, and sometimes I forget, so apologies for that. Now, Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi presents a hadith narrated by Ali radiallahu anhu that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam mentioned that he forbade the man reciting in a loud voice in terms of the Quran before Isha and after it, because the people can get mixed up in their salat. Imam Dhahabi comments on this. So if anyone's interested, just go to page 165 and he goes into it. Now look what Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi mentions. فَقَدْ وَاللَّهِ, Imam Dhahabi is swearing by Allah, عَمَّ الْفَساد, that corruption is widespread and that bid'ah has manifested, right? Bid'ah has manifested. وخفيت السنن, and the sunnah has been hidden. This is, pay attention and think about if Imam Dhahabi was around in our time. بل لو نطق العالم بصدق وإخلاص, that if an alim spoke the truth and sincerity, or with sincerity, many of the ulema of the time would oppose him. And they would object and they would despise him. And what would happen? They would accuse him or allege that he is ignorant. فَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ, and all power and might is except with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Attention. Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi, in his time, when they were living under a glorious khilafah, and the Muslims had izzah, quwwah, sultan, and there were ulema at that particular time, for whatever reason, hardly spoke the truth. Hardly spoke the truth. And if they did, the ulema of that time would accuse him of what Imam Dhahabi mentioned, ignorance and whatever's under the sun. Imagine if Imam Dhahabi rahmatullah alayhi was transported into our time today, where certain muftis, and again, iftar, what iftar? Yes, the same iftar you gave to the hoops guy to go play in a basketball game, which was organized by the Syrian regime, who had massacred how many, hundreds of thousands of our brothers from Syria, and you gave the fatwa saying it's jaiz to go play. Where's the, whitewashing the crimes of Bashar? We have honorable non-Muslim journalists. We have university students across the pond. Here in the UK also protesting, expressing their anger and their frustration at what they're witnessing in Gaza right about now. This is unacceptable. And I'm not downplaying and denying the high stakes that certain Muslim speakers have of the threat of deplatforming, shadow banning, potentially being stopped at the airport, getting questioned. But we have to have tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We know that rizq is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's promised in the heavens or above the heavens. Now, I am imploring our Muslim speakers and organizations alike to step it up. Create awareness, post on Twitter, post or X, post on Facebook, reshare, like the journalists, the Al Jazeera journalists, if those are Arabic speaking, like, what's his name? Mahmoud Zaqut. You got Islam Badr. You have the other one who got awarded. I forgot his name now. It's not coming to my head. But all of these journalists on the ground who are risking their lives to report what is happening in Gaza. Subhanallah al-Azim. And imagine if it was your child stuck there. Imagine if it's your child stuck there. Would you be refraining to name the Zionists? Do you understand what I mean? Like, it's not right. And we can't promise you, from the bottom of my heart, truly, whoever disagrees with me, whoever it may be, whether it's in the da'wah or it is brothers on X or whoever it may be, subhanallah al-azim, I welcome criticism. And there are times that I have to be reined in and pulled up. But I don't believe, and I stand by this, even 3 days later, that mentioning Israel or Zionists in this context, considering what's happening in Gaza, once, twice or thrice will get you shadow banned and deplatformed. Or you'll get stopped at the airport by just mentioning it. This is just scaremongering. This is cowardice at its finest. Once or twice, go check it. Not once has he mentioned the motivational speaker, Israel or Zionists. This is ridiculous. And you could disagree with me, okay, there's high stakes and whatnot, I understand that. But I just can't accept if you could go 25% of the way by mentioning what is happening and saying shame on you, so you've gone 45% or 50% of the way there. You've stepped up the courage, or you stuffed up the courage to write that much. How difficult was it to just write Israel or Zionist? I just want to understand that, honestly. Because you've done 50% of the job. But no. You know, we can't do this. I can't do this because, you know, God forbid my account gets shut down. God forbid I have to answer a few questions when landing in a country. God forbid. I don't buy that. Anyway, so as I said, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to reward those who correct me, who advise me sincerely. It's welcoming. I do respect those who do that, and it's a breath of fresh air when that happens. I'm being completely frank and honest. This isn't, you know, fake humility here. I have sincere conversations with brothers in the da'wah all the time, and I don't need to go into. The brothers know who I speak to, but like Imam Dhahabi mentioned, like we can't have this, you know, mentality. We can't, and it's just shocking that I have to record this video bringing aqwal from the ulema to justify my position. It should be straightforward. Yes, there's nuances, but we shouldn't be defending those just because of their popularity. No one's untouchable. Everyone is accountable. Everyone has the right to come forward and suggest, or if at times use language that is strong, but it's done out of love. I'll be frank, I'm not denying the motivational speaker does great work. And I've said that numerous times. But like I said, when you get praised constantly, people get accustomed to that. And sometimes the tough love isn't welcomed, or they feel it's threatening or aggressive. But it's not. It's not. So take care of yourselves. Wa sallallahu ala nabiyyina Muhammad.
ليس الغريب غريب الشام واليمن إن الغريب غريب اللحد والكفن إن الغريب له حق لغربته على المقيمين في الأوطان والسكن سفر بعيد وزاد لن يبلغني وقوتي ضعفت والموت يطلبني ما أحلم الله عني حيث أمهلني وقد تماديت في ذنبي ويسترني تمر ساعة